this video, we will be dealing with the topic types of research. As you all know, this area comes under the module research aptitude, and if you analyze the previous year question papers, you could find that they are asking questions repeatedly from this area. So you have to give a special attention to this topic if you are an aspirant of NTA, UGC, NET and JRF. Before moving into the topic, let's first look at the term research and its meaning. Research is an investigation or an experimentation that results either in the discovery and interpretation of facts or the revision of accepted theories or laws. It can be also used in a very practical sense or in an applicational level where we are applying the already existing theories, laws and concepts to specific issues and problems in order to derive necessary solutions. So now we will be moving into the different types of research. You have fundamental and applied research, action research, experimental and ex post facto research, historical research, descriptive and analytical research, ethnographical research, comparative and longitudinal research, conceptual research, empirical research, diagnostic research, correlational research, phenomenological research, exploratory and explanatory research. So in this video, we will be analyzing each of these types in detail. First, you have the fundamental research. It is a scientific research which is also known as basic or pure research. So if you are finding any of these three terms, fundamental, basic or pure research in a question paper, you can easily conclude that three of these terms mean exactly the same thing. The major concern or the main aim of fundamental research is the formulation of theories and concepts. So it results in the acquisition of new knowledge. Through fundamental research, we are acquiring new knowledge or we are adding knowledge to the already existing knowledge system. So the key term of fundamental research is discovery or invention, because we are discovering or we are inventing new theories and new concepts. Now you have the applied research. Please do remember that applied research is based on fundamental research, because we are using the outcomes of fundamental research, that are the theories and laws which are resulted by the fundamental research in applied research. So we are using the theories and concepts in order to solve specific and practical issues. In applied research, the key term is innovation or application. In fundamental research, it was discovery or invention, but in applied research, we are not discovering or inventing anything new, but we are innovating the already existing things, or we are applying the theories to a specific and practical issue. So applied research is most often used for third party purpose, or the beneficiary of applied research is a third party, a person who is outside the research. Now you have the action research. It is also known as cycle of action or cycle of inquiry. So action research is cyclical in nature. This is one of the main points of action research, and it follows a sequence that starts from planning and ends in reflection. So it goes like plan, act, observe and reflect. So this is the approach or the sequence of action research. So these are the two areas of concern in action research. One is educational related studies and next one is professional expertise. So if we are doing a research in order to improve our professional skills, or we are doing a research in order to improve the teaching capabilities or teaching methodologies, all these categories comes under the research action research. So the basic aim or the general goal of action research is improvement. So we are doing an action research in order to make certain improvements in the area of concern, and here the beneficiary and the researcher are the same. In applied research, we saw that the beneficiary is a third party, a person who is outside the research, but in action research, the beneficiary and the researcher are the same, and it is a qualitative approach to research. Next we have experimental research. Before moving into experimental research, we have to notice one thing. There are two types of research that is based on cause and effect relationship. They are experimental research and ex post facto research. So, first we have the experimental research, which is based on the relationship between the cause and the effect. It is a scientific approach to research in which the researcher analyzes the interaction between the dependent and the independent variable. So, what is the dependent and independent variable? If you are studying the relationship between income and rate of consumption, the consumption is always dependent upon the income. So, here income is the independent variable and the rate of consumption is the dependent variable. So, in experimental research, the researcher is studying the interaction between the dependent and the independent variable. So, the main focus of experimental research is hypothesis testing. So, the researcher is creating a hypothesis at the beginning of the research and then he is testing whether this hypothesis is true or false or it is right or wrong. And another important thing that you have to remember when it comes to experimental research is that the manipulation of independent variable is possible. For instance, in the example that we discussed earlier, the relationship between income and rate of consumption, their income was the independent variable, but we can actually control or manipulate the independent variable, that is income, because we can go for some other job and we can add on extra money to our income. So, we can manipulate the independent variable in experimental research, and this is a quantitative approach in researches. And next you have the ex post facto research, which is also based on the cause and effect relationship, and here we are analyzing the effect of an already happened scenario and which is evaluated in terms of causal relationship. For instance, if we are studying the effect of tsunami, that comes under the ex post facto research, because tsunami is something that happened in 2004 in Kerala and we are now analyzing the after effects of tsunami. So, that comes under the ex post facto research. So, it is also known as after the fact research. We are analyzing something that has happened in the past and now we are focusing on the after effects of that particular scenario. So, here also as in experimental research, we are studying the interaction between the dependent and the independent variable. So, here for instance, if we are studying the effect of tsunami on the coastal lives, here the dependent variable is the coastal life or the after effects that they are facing, and the independent variable is tsunami. And another difference that ex post facto research is having from experimental research is that the manipulation of independent variable is not possible in ex post facto research. In experimental research, we saw that we can manipulate the independent variable, but here it is not possible. In the previous example, tsunami is something that happened in 2004 and now we cannot make we cannot change anything, right? So, we cannot manipulate the independent variable in ex post facto research, and like experimental research, ex post facto research is also quantitative in nature. Now, you have the historical research. The title or the term itself is self-explanatory, because in historical research we are studying the history, the past. So, it is a qualitative research, and in historical research we are analyzing the past events and develops new concepts and conclusions. So, if we are studying the British rule in India, that is a historical research, because we are studying something that happened in the past, that is the British rule, and we are trying to develop something new, new concepts or new conclusions from this particular research. Now, you have the descriptive research. In descriptive research, we are describing the nature of a demographic segment. Demographic segment is very simple. If we are dividing the entire population into different sectors on the basis of certain characteristics like age groups or gender groups, all these groups are demographic segments. So, if we are describing the nature of a particular demographic segment, that comes under descriptive research. So, when a researcher is doing a descriptive research, he is focusing on these questions: how something happened, What is that phenomena all about, or when did it happen, or where did it happen. So how, what, when and where are the major concerns of a researcher when he is doing a descriptive research, but he is not bothered about the question why. He is not explaining why something has happened. He is only bothered about how, what, when and where questions. So descriptive research is most often quantitative. You have to remember this because at times it might be a bit confusing while we see the term descriptive. So please do remember that descriptive research is most often a quantitative research type. So there are several steps in descriptive research, that are description, classification, measurement and comparison, and also you have several methods in descriptive research that includes observational method, case study method and survey method. Now you have the analytical research. In analytical research, we are analyzing a topic in depth. It's an in-depth study of a particular phenomenon. We are analyzing a particular thing. So here we are attempting to establish why something occurs or how it came to be. In descriptive research, we were not focusing on the why question. We were focusing on how, what, when and where. But in analytical research, we are more focusing on the aspect why something has happened. That is the major concern of analytical research, and this is a qualitative research. Descriptive research is most often a quantitative research, but analytical research is more often a qualitative research. Now you have the ethnographic research. So the first and foremost thing you have to remember when it comes to ethnographic research is that participant observation is a part of ethnographic research. That is, we are observing or we are interacting with the participants in their real life environment. For example, if we are trying to, or we are concerned about a particular tribal group, we want to study the food habits or their culture, their traditions, we have to go to their places, we have to go to their real life style or their living environment in order to get data about that particular tribal group. So that comes under ethnographic research, and it is often associated with anthropology. Anthropology is the study of human societies and human groups. Here also we are doing the same thing. We are studying the human societies and we are observing them in their living conditions, in their real life environment, in order to study more and more about a particular social group. Field work is a tool that is used in ethnographic research. This is also very important. Field work is one of the most important tools used in ethnographic research. Now you have comparative research. The title itself is self-explanatory. Comparative. We are comparing two or more groups. So here it has also another term, cross-sectional study. We are studying two groups, cross-sectional study. So it compares two or more groups, and we are basically analyzing the differences and similarities between different groups. For instance, if we are studying the marriage ceremony of two religions or two communities, that comes under comparative research, because we are studying about the marriage ceremony, but we are comparing two groups in order to find what are similar and what are dissimilar in their ceremonies. So that kind of a study comes under comparative research. Now you have the longitudinal study, which is also known as trend analysis. In cross-sectional study, we were studying about different groups simultaneously. We were comparing two or more groups simultaneously, but in longitudinal study, we are observing same variables over short or long periods. For instance, if a company is planning to launch a new product, before that the launching of a product, they have to get the feedback from the customers. So they will give them a feedback forms, or they will ask the opinions of the customers for a short or a long time. The perspectives and the needs and needs of the customers changes every now and then because of this global commercialization, global marketing and all that. The perspectives and the needs of the consumer is changing. So they have to get the perspective, the needs of the consumer for a short or a long period, so that from that analysis they can launch a new product according to the will of the consumer. So that kind of a study, that is trend analysis. We are analyzing the trend. What is the consumer's perspective? That comes under the longitudinal study. It is a type of correlational research. We are discussing this type of research, correlational research, later in this video. So now just remember, longitudinal study is more often considered as a type of correlational research. There are two types of longitudinal study. One is retrospective study, that is we are looking back to the past and we are deriving certain analysis, and prospective cohort study, we are looking to the future. We are looking to the future and the outcomes, and we are making a trend analysis or a longitudinal study. These are the two types of longitudinal study. Now you have conceptual research. Here we are dealing with abstract ideas and concepts. What are these abstract ideas? The things that we cannot see or we cannot touch, but we can feel it. Like love is an abstract idea. So in conceptual research, we are dealing with abstract ideas and concepts. So generally this type of research is used by philosophers and thinkers to develop new concepts or to reinterpret the existing ones. Now you have the empirical research, empirical experiences. So we are relying on experiences or observations alone, and it is a data based research because we are analyzing, we are observing, we are experiencing things, from that we are collecting data, and that is the foundation of empirical research. Now you have the diagnostic research. Diagnostic research is both descriptive and explanatory in nature. This is a very important point. Diagnostic research is both descriptive and explanatory in nature, and it defines the underlying causes of a certain situation or a phenomenon. For example, if you are studying the cause for the stress in students, if you are analyzing why these kids are so much stressful about the exams, we are diagnosing what are the causes, what are the things that causing this much of stress to the students. That is a diagnostic research. We are going and finding out the different possibilities of these kinds of exam fear and the stress before exam and all that. So that is a diagnostic research, and it has three levels. First, we will be inspecting the problem. We have to recognize what is the problem. That is problem inception. Then we have to diagnose the problem, that is problem diagnosis. So we are finding out the causes, what is really the cause for this particular issue, and then we comes to the problem solution. After finding the problem and diagnosing the causes, we are applying the solution for this particular problem. Next we have the correlational research. This term we have discussed earlier in longitudinal research, where we say that it's a type of correlational research. So correlational research is a non-experimental research method. So in this particular research, we are assessing the statistical or the quantitative relationship between two variables with no influence from any extraneous variable. Extraneous variable is any variable that is outside the research, outside the study. Now we have phenomenological research. In this particular research, we will be studying a phenomena. We are describing or we are giving a description of the nature of a particular phenomenon. For example, if you are studying the shared experience of a particular group or the commonality of a lived experience within a particular group. To make it simpler, if we are studying the condition of women in a patriarchal society, we are actually analyzing the shared experience of women in that particular community in a patriarchal society. So that comes under phenomenological research. Now you have exploratory research. This is generally done in the beginning of a research in order to find areas that are not thoroughly investigated in the past. So we will be exploring the areas that are not that much studied in the previous studies. That is exploratory research. That's a research that is preliminary in nature. We are doing it at the beginning of a research, and it doesn't lead to conclusive research because it's just like we are trying to find out areas that has to be given as extra care, that is not studied in the past, that is not thoroughly interpreted or investigated in the past. So it is a preliminary research and that doesn't lead to conclusive results. Now you have the explanatory research in which we are explaining something. So we are attempting to answer the questions how and why. We are attempting to answer the questions how and why between two aspects of a situation or a phenomenon. For example, if we are studying why examination related stress leads to rote learning. Rote learning is memorization. We are memorizing things. That is rote learning. So if we are studying why examination related stress leads to rote learning. So here we are trying to explain the cause for these kind of how this stress is leading to a rote learning. So that comes under explanatory research. Now we will be having a few questions that were asked in the previous year, so that you will get an idea how questions are coming from this area and how we can come to the answer while we are reading the questions in your exams. Here you have a question that was asked in 19th of December 2018, and it was asked in the morning shift, and the question goes like this: for which type of research the action words control, manipulate and observe are most relevant? And you have the options: experimental research, action research, ground theory approach based research, historical research. From the question itself, you can come to the answer. They are giving you some clues. Here you have three action words: control, manipulate and observe. When we were discussing experimental research, we already said that in experimental research, the researcher can control or manipulate the independent variable. So from that clue itself, you can come to the answer. So here the answer is experimental research, because in experimental research, the researcher has that scope to manipulate or control the variable, the independent variable. The next question, it is asked in 21st of June 2019, and it was asked in the morning shift, and the question is participant observation as a part of, and you have the option philosophical research, mentalist theory of language, mathematical research and ethnographic research. So here the question is, which of these research is having participant observation? When we were discussing ethnographic research, we said that the major concept, the major area of ethnographic research is observation. We are observing or interacting with the participants in their real life experiences or real life conditions or real life environments. So the answer is ethnographic research, because that is the only research in which we are observing or interacting with the participants in their real life environment. So you can easily come to the answer, that is D, ethnographic research. Next we have a question that was asked in 25th of June 2019, and it was there in the afternoon shift. Question goes like this: which of the following research types has a potential for enhancing teaching competencies? And you have the options: fundamental research, applied research, impact assessment research, action research. So in the question you have two clues to derive the answer. The first one is enhancement, that is improvement. We know that action research, the general goal of action research is enhancement or improvement. The second clue is teaching competencies. We already discussed that in action research, the two areas of concern are educational related studies and professional expertise. So teaching competency is related to both the fields, that is related to professional expertise, and also it is related to educational related study. So you can easily come to the answer. You have that clues in the question itself. First one is enhancement, that is also known as improvement, and teaching competency. So the answer is D, action research. So in this video we discussed the term research and its meaning, and then we analyzed the various types of research in detail, and also we analyzed some of the previous year questions as well. So we'll be having our next video on an analysis of the previous year question papers, and we will be also comparing the question papers from 2012 to 2014 that was conducted by UGC, then 2014 to 2018 that was conducted by CBSE, and 2018 to present that is conducted by NTA. You will be having a comprehensive note of this module research aptitude available in our LMS platform as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you.